Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do just a pretty basic makeup look. If you don't follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, I will put my name up on the screen and I would encourage you to go follow me there. And I was talking about how I've been wearing my makeup in a certain way during the daytime, just really for like the first half of the day usually, sometimes more than that. And I just thought that I might want to share it with you guys. And I know that it's nothing really that new. I mean, none of these techniques, none of these products really either are new, but it's just something that I've been doing lately that I've been really enjoying. And it was kind of a little bit of a light bulb moment for me. I was watching a video by Makeup by Tiffany D, and it just kind of inspired me to try something different with my makeup. And I tried it and I've been loving it and I wanted to share it. So this is really the makeup that I would wear day to day. Pretty light, natural, basic, fresh looking makeup. And I like to play around with makeup a lot. I like to do, very dramatic, fun makeup looks with different colors, testing out different palettes. That's really fun for me. But I only really do that when I have the time to. And I often don't have the time in the morning. And for me, the way that my life usually is, some of the days of the week, my daughter Sadie, who is almost 2.5, she goes to preschool just for a few hours in the mornings. So for example, today, that's where she is. So that's 3 mornings of the week. And then the other 2 mornings of the week, I'm out and about with her. And I just kind of quickly get myself together in the morning and then do things with her and then, come home for her lunch and nap. When I'm running around with her doing things on the days that she doesn't have school, some days I don't mind not having any makeup on and just maybe even putting a little bit of a corrector underneath my eyes, maybe absolutely nothing, just going bare. But then some days I kind of want to put on a little something just to feel more put together. Again, I don't always feel the need to do that, but it sometimes just makes me feel good to do that. But on days like that, I don't like to put on a whole face of makeup for a couple reasons. First of all, because I am just sort of running around with her. Usually we're doing some activities. Sometimes they're outside. We're not doing anything fancy, But then the other reason is that I need to find time to work out. I like to exercise every single day. And so on the days where I'm running around with her, I work out during her nap time. So then my makeup comes off. On the mornings where she has school, then I'll work out in the morning typically. And then during her nap time is when I pull out my makeup and I have time to play. So that's kind of the way that my schedule works. Everybody's schedule is different, obviously, and I'm sure as she gets older, things will change as well. But for right now, that's kind of how things go. And so I've been wearing my makeup in a certain way on those mornings where I'm running around with her, and I've been just really enjoying the way that it looks, and it's just something different for me. So to fill you in on my skin, I have combo skin. It definitely leans a little more oily, but of course in the winter it can be a little more dry in certain places, and I still will get those dry patches, and just obviously less so in the summer. So it definitely will go a little more oily as we get into spring and summer, which finally we are getting into spring. When I was watching Makeup by Tiffany D, she was talking about how she doesn't powder her skin. And I was, I've always been kind of like, I have to powder. Obviously, I have oily skin. I have, combo to oily skin, but my skin, particularly my T-zone, mostly my nose and right between my brows and on my forehead gets very oily and breaks up makeup very, very easily. And I have to set my makeup, obviously. I mean, I couldn't do it any other way. And she talked about how she has oily skin. And, things will maybe crease a little bit. She'll just kind of tap it out. No big deal. And I was like, I'm still kind of skeptical. But maybe it's something worth trying because, she's not somebody with dry skin. You hear people with dry skin all the time talking about not powdering. And I get that that works for people with dry skin. But for someone with combo to oily skin, this is something that we don't usually do because we get oily and we need something to help with that situation. So I thought I'd give it a try. And I have been wearing my makeup like that. I've been using just creams. So I go ahead and typically when I do this technique, I don't use any powders. I use all cream products and it looks really beautiful. It's not something that's going to last all day long. There have been days where I wear this and today I'm going to. It will definitely get oily, but if I'm not wearing powder and I'm wearing some of these cream products and some of these more dewy type of products, it's just not as big of a deal. I'm able to kind of fix things easily. But the thing about wearing my makeup this way is that it looks really fresh and natural and youthful, and I really enjoy the way that it looks. It's not the kind of makeup that I would wear if I was wearing like a glam makeup. It's not the kind of makeup I would wear if I needed it to last for an event or if I needed to be outside all day long. It's not that kind of thing for me. If you have dry skin, maybe it would work for you. But for me, that's not how this would work. This is just if I'm gonna be wearing, you know, kind of light makeup, I wanna have something on my face and I wanna look put together, and maybe I'm gonna take it off halfway through the day, maybe not, but you know, it's just gonna look really pretty on the skin. I think one of the biggest keys with something like this, at least for my skin type, and if you have combo skin or oily skin, this is, I think, the key with it, is to use a really natural makeup. So if you're somebody who likes full coverage and you want, you know, a really full coverage foundation, a really full coverage concealer, that kind of thing, this maybe wouldn't be the way to do it. This is really the kind of thing where I think you want to stick to light to medium types of coverage. That's when it looks the best, because then when it starts to get a little bit oily and maybe break down a little bit, it doesn't look cakey or heavy. It just looks kind of like your skin is getting a little greasy, no big deal. And you can either go in later on in the day with a blotting paper, that kind of thing, or sometimes, honestly, maybe this isn't great for my skin, but I'll just kind of go in and smooth out some of those creases that I'm getting. But I find that it doesn't crease that bad, and it doesn't look as obvious when it creases because there's not powder settling into those creases. It's just the product that I'm using on my face, and it's something that's light enough that it's not going to go into all of those crevices as much. So enough talking, let's actually get into applying it. So the first thing that I like to apply is my concealer, and the thing that I always go for, and this is one of my absolute favorite products of all time, and this is something that I can just wear completely by itself on days where I'm not wearing anything on my face, but I feel like I look a little tired and it's not gonna look obvious. And that's the Bobbi Brown Corrector. So this one I have in the shade Peach Bisque. They have it in a ton of shades, so I encourage you to find your shade. That's gonna be the way that it's going to hide your under eye circles the best, and it's going to look as natural as possible. So, you know, it has a little bit of a peachy tone. This is a pretty new one to me. I just finished up one fairly recently, if you saw my last empties. This lasts you a really long time, even though it looks like this tiny little compact, which it is. It lasts a very, very long time because you don't need a lot of this. I use this with my fingers. I find that that's the best way to apply it because it warms up the product, and I can just kind of lightly put it underneath my eyes, but I'll show you what it does if you've never used this before. It looks super natural because it has that peachy tone, but it's not super orangey or unnatural looking. You know, if you wanted to use something that was really orangey toned, you'd really need to put something on top of it. Whereas this one, I don't feel like I need to. And I think you could probably see already that it's starting to really brighten things up and conceal those, you know, those dark circles. Now, it's not, you know, like the most high coverage thing, so it's not like it's gonna completely cover them, but it will in a very natural way. And so if you can see, I've put this on, and I usually will put on a little bit more than this, but already you can tell the difference. It just brightened everything up, and if I wore nothing else on my face, I could wear this and you wouldn't notice that I'm wearing makeup. And that's what I love about this product. I just think that it's a real gem. And you know, it's a high-end product, so yes, it's pricey, but like I said, it lasts a really long time. I mean, it took me forever to go through the other one that I had. And because, you know, even once I hit pan on it, I thought that that was kind of like, okay, well, I need to think about getting another one soon. I'm gonna run out of it. It was quite a number of months later before I actually ran out of it because you just don't need a lot of it. And like I said, I like to use my fingers because I feel like that just kind of melts it into the skin better. See, I just love the way that that looks. I think if I was wearing nothing else, I could just run out the door like this and I would look so much more awake. Now I go in with my base, and I like to go in with something, like I said, that's a little more light to medium coverage, definitely a little bit more on the lighter side. Now, for higher end type of options, I'm gonna give you a few different options of things that I like to use. One thing that I really enjoy is the Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua. This is a beautiful light to medium foundation. You can definitely build this up more than some of the other things. And it's just so beautiful on the skin. I really, really enjoy this one. I find that I enjoy this both with a brush and with a beauty sponge. You could even use your fingers, but usually for this one, I like to use a brush or beauty blender. Another one that I've been trying recently, so I don't actually have the full size of it yet, I'm going to get it for sure, is I completely fell in love with this Chantecaille Just Skin Tinted Moisturizer. This has a really nice coverage for a tinted moisturizer, almost along the lines of the IT Cosmetics, but maybe a little bit lighter and more natural looking than that one. This is beautiful. It is pricey, but you get I believe in the full size, it doesn't say on here, I believe it's like 1.7 ounces, which is way more than you would get in a normal foundation. So it is pricey. It is Chantecaille. It's a pricey brand, but you get a lot of product. I'm definitely going to be getting the full size of this. I'm just kind of like enjoying my samples right now. I'm also kind of trying to figure out my correct shade. This one's in the shade Vanilla. I'm kind of figuring that out as well before I buy the full size. This is actually what I'm going to use on my face today, and I really love applying this with my fingers. I think it looks so beautiful. For drugstore options, I actually love some of the cushion foundations that I found from the drugstore. So one that I was using before that I'm almost out of, but I don't think that they sell it anymore, I'm not really sure what the deal is there, is the L'Oreal Lumi cushion. I really like that one. That one's definitely a lot more dewy and a pretty light coverage. But then I also have the Maybelline Dream Cushion, which I really, really enjoy. This one has a little bit more coverage, and then the Wet n Wild Cushion Foundation as well. The nice thing about these cushion ones too is, first of all, you've got the sponge in there that you can just use to apply it, which I actually like to use the sponge. A lot of people don't. I really like it. I think that it applies it super nicely and easily, and you don't have to like wet a sponge or anything like that. Plus, you could then toss this in your purse and touch up on the go, making it an even more long-lasting type of makeup. And if you're not powdering, it's much easier to touch up with your creams and liquids and things than if you had powdered everywhere, then it might get a little bit cakey looking. So like I said, I'm gonna use the Chantecaille one, and I love to use my fingers for this one. I think that it just looks so, so nice, and you'll see when I start applying this. And like I said, I'm still kind of figuring out my shade, so forgive it if it's not the perfect shade, I guess. It blends in really easily, really quickly. And I just think that it looks so beautiful. It looks natural. It really is like a tinted moisturizer, you know, and some tinted moisturizers have barely any coverage, which I get it. It's a tinted moisturizer. I get that I don't, you know, I want a pretty light coverage if I'm using tinted moisturizer, but I don't, there needs to be a purpose to me applying it, you know, and I want it to look like my skin, like this. But I want to have some type of evening out of the skin and coverage, because otherwise, what's the point? And I just think that this one looks so, so nice. I mean, look how easily that's blending into my skin. And I just think it looks like I have really, really good skin. Then I go in with some cream products for my face, which if you've been following me for a little bit, you'll know that I have not been into cream products. Because again, I have comboed oily skin, and I felt like I was just better off using powder products. But with this technique, I think that the creams look the best. I think that it looks so beautiful on the skin. I do think that something like this, I can go in with powders if I just sort of wait a little bit to let it set down. But I still think that it just looks more beautiful with cream products. And I don't have very many, and some of these are newer to me, and I'll point that out to you, because I'm dipping my toes back in, because I wasn't into cream products. I really wasn't. And now I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I need to step back into this world a little bit. So if you have some favorite cream products, please give me your recommendations down below, because I'm kind of falling back in love with them. It's not something that I'm going to wear very much when I'm doing like my full face, you know, when I'm like really playing with makeup. But if I'm doing this day-to-day technique, that's really what I go for. So let me tell you some of my favorites and what I use to apply them. So first I go in with a cream bronzer. I don't usually contour so much in this situation because, again, I want it to look really natural and pretty and fresh. So first I go in with a cream bronzer, and my favorite for a very long time, even not being as much into cream products, although I'm using it a lot more now, is the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel. And this is, yes, an expensive product, but you get a lot of product in here, and it lasts a very long time. And this is such a beautiful product. A newer one to me that I am really liking so far. I mean, I can't say that it's a favorite just yet, because I still need to keep trying it, but I've been enjoying it as well. And it's, you know, a more inexpensive version, is the Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer. This one is in the shade Baked. They do have different shades of these, I believe. And this is really nice. It comes in a cool little stick here, although I don't really apply this right on my face. I mean, you could, I guess, but I feel like it just moves everything around. I prefer to apply with my brush, which I will show you in a second, because I use it to apply both my bronzer and my blush. As for blushes, the one that I had been using for a long time, because I just don't have very many cream blushes because I just didn't use them before. And so now I'm kind of like, again, dipping my toes back in. So leave your suggestions. But the one that I've been using for a long time that I love, that is still available on the Makeup Forever website, but they don't have it on Sephora anymore, which is kind of a shame, is their HD blushes. This one's in the shade 215. This was actually my project pan last year, and that's how I was able to hit pan on it, but now I'm using it a lot more. It's really, really nice. And then the other cream blush that I've been using recently that I got along with the Milk bronzer is the Milk blush that I've been enjoying. This is their lip and cheek, so you could put this on your lips as well, which would be nice for this look. I haven't tried that yet though. It's in the shade Work, and it's a really very, very pretty color. Again, I don't put this directly on my skin like that. So the brush that I like to use to apply it, this is the Makeup Geek Face Buffer Brush, and a lot of brands have brushes like this. In fact, I think Real Techniques has one like it, but it's just sort of a dense but still fluffy type of like domed foundation brush. And the reason that I like that is because I'm able to kind of like press it in, but also kind of blend a little bit. And it's not too stiff, it's not too fluffy. And so it picks up the cream products really nicely. And I'm gentle with it because I don't want to lift any of my base, you know, while I'm blending those into the skin. Let's start with bronzer, and I'm gonna use the Chanel, but again, the Milk one is really nice too. I'm just still newer to it. So I kind of swirl it around, and you know, it picks up a nice amount of product. And you know, I kind of put it all over where I would naturally bronze, you know, and I do buff it in a little bit, just lightly, because I don't want to disturb my base. But I'm just giving myself that warmth. I'm not contouring, anything like that. You know, I bring it over the forehead like that, making sure to really warm up my skin. And then I also like to take some right on my nose like this because, you know, again, I want it to look like I'm sort of naturally bronzed. And I like the way that that looks. You could take this down your neck if you wanted to, if you felt like it was uneven, but I don't put on that much that I feel like I don't need to do that. And then since I know you can't get this at Sephora anymore, even though, I mean, it is still available, it's just not as easy to get, I guess. I'm gonna use the Milk one, and I'll show you how I use that one since it's a different format. But like I said, I just kind of go like I would if it was in a pot. And I do basically the same thing, I just don't go as much on my forehead. And you know, you can apply blush as it best suits your face shape. So I don't take it too far into my cheeks because I have big cheeks. So I bring it up to my temples a little bit. And I keep it, you know, I still bring it a little bit, but just not completely onto my apples. But it just gives my skin a really healthy flush. And I like this color a lot. They have other, you know, shades obviously, but I like this shade. And they do sell this one in a mini in case you wanted to try this shade. They don't sell everything in minis. I wish they did. But they do sell this blush in a mini. And I even put a little bit on my nose. Not as much as I do the bronzer, but just a little bit because, you know, I want it to look like I'm naturally flushed. Then for highlighter, usually I keep it a little bit more on the natural side just because, you know, it's a natural look. And so I kind of want to look like a little more naturally glowy, if that makes sense. So again, I don't have great recommendations just because I don't, you know, I hadn't been using a lot of these products, so you'll have to forgive me. But, you know, please leave recommendations for not only me, but anybody else down below. I know there are ones that people love, but these are just the ones that I have. So this one is probably my favorite of the three that I have, which is funny because I wasn't using this much before, but now I'm getting a lot of use out of it. And I don't know if you can still get this, so I apologize if you can't. But this is the, it's the Lancome Cushion Blush Highlighter in 00 highlighter. I know they have cushion products, but I just don't know if they sell this highlighter anymore. And it's really easy to apply because it comes with that little sponge. I think that's the one I'm going to use today. Even though, I'm sorry, I know you can't get it, but it's kind of my favorite. Then there's the MAC. This is the shade Shell. It's one of their cream color bases. This is really nice. It's a little more glittery, but it still looks really pretty. And then I have this little sample of this Clinique Chubby Stick one. This is the highlight. And I think they only have one shade of this, which is kind of a shame, but because it's just like a pinky shade, which I like, but I know not everybody loves. I've heard a lot of people talk about some of the Nude Sticks cream things. That's definitely on my list to try. A highlight that I really want to try that's a liquid one is the one from Charlotte Tilbury, the highlight one, because I love her contour wand for when I'm actually like contouring my face, but I definitely want to try the highlight one. So I might pick that up during the Sephora sale, whenever that ends up being. So those are a couple options, but I'm gonna go in with this long comb one, and you could use a brush, you could use your fingers, but I'm gonna go ahead and use the little sponge. And it just, you know, gives you like a pretty fresh, natural highlight. And if you wanted to glow more, you certainly could. There's nothing wrong with that. But I like the way that this looks. And even though you'd think this wouldn't give you enough precision, this kind of makes it look a little more diffused and natural because you're not, you know, putting it just as a stripe. Then I go in and do my brows, and this will really depend on how your brows are, how you like to wear your brows. I like to keep it pretty natural when I'm doing this type of makeup look, and so I like to use just like a brow gel. But my favorite, I've been having a really hard time finding. I don't know, I keep getting conflicting information whether it's discontinued or it's not. This is the Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer. And it just has this like weird looking type of comb, and it adds so much volume and color to my brows that I don't feel like I need to use anything else with it. If I was gonna use a different brow gel, like the ones that I kind of use on a daily basis are the Essence Make Me Brow and the Glossier Boy Brow. I feel like I need to add a little bit of pencil with some of those, but let's just give it a try today just to see how that looks, because I like these, but I just don't know that they add as much as that Maybelline one does, but I can't seem to find that Maybelline one anywhere, and I'm getting a little bit upset about it. So if I need to add a pencil, then I will, but maybe this will just be okay on its own. Because my brows are, you know, not super voluminous. For a look like this, it's meant to be a very natural look, so that's okay, but I want it to be a little bit more defined than it would be otherwise. This is fine. This looks okay to me. It's not as much as the Maybelline for sure, but you know, I think that it's still adding a nice amount of color. Don't have much going on at the tail end, but that's okay. All right, and when it comes to my eyeshadow, I keep it very, very natural. Again, you know, the theme is natural. So sometimes I will go in with some type of cream shadow. Like I really do like, you know, some of these Chanel ones. This one's more of just like a shimmery kind of one, but I sort of like that. I like to add a little bit of shimmer on my lids, like, and just do the one shimmer shade when I'm doing a look like this. I think that that looks really pretty. I love this one. It's in the shade, I don't know if they have this anymore because Chanel does that all the time. They just discontinue shades. It's in the shade 83 Illusoire. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. You could go in with some type of eyeshadow stick. I like to use the Laura Mercier Amethyst one. Super pretty. Purple's the theme, right? And this Charlotte Tilbury Color Chameleon in Amethyst Aphrodisiac. She also has potted cream shadows too. Charlotte Tilbury does. But what I'm just going to do today, and it does mean an extra step because I have to put on a little bit of eyeshadow primer because my lids will just crease. This is the Ulta Nude Primer, and I just put on like a very, very light amount because I'm not adding more than just like one shade of eyeshadow. But I just like to add a little bit of something. And again, I like to kind of just do like one shimmery shade because I just think that it looks really fresh and pretty and simple. And it almost looks like you don't have anything on, but it just looks super pretty. So you could really use any type of shimmery shade. It doesn't matter at all. So just use your favorite shade. I'm going to use a shade from this Chantecaille Polar Ice palette because I have it, so I want to use it. And I'm gonna go in with one of these shades at the top. Let's see. I'm just gonna use this one on this side here that is a pretty light shimmery shade. I'm gonna use it with my fingers so that it adds a little bit more, but you know, it keeps it a little more natural looking. And if I wanted it to be even lighter, I could go in with a brush, but just adds a little bit of shimmer on my lids. Just kind of go between your two fingers to sort of blend. And it's, you know, it's meant to not really look like we're wearing eyeshadow. And then I just take some mascara and I put a couple coats of mascara just on my top lashes. I leave my bottom lashes blank. I feel like I just like the way that that looks. I'm gonna go put that on real quick and I'll come back and show you, and then we'll do the lips. So mascara is done. I just like the way that it looks. If I only have eyeshadow on the top, only mascara, I don't know. I just like the way that it looks like that. And I use the NARS Climax mascara, but you could use whatever mascara you like. It doesn't matter. And then I really like to go in with a hydrating, very creamy, balmy type of lip color. It can have a good amount of pigment to it, which the one I'm going to use does, but I don't like it to be something that's super matte or flat or even like a bullet matte lipstick. I really like it to look very creamy and hydrate and feel very hydrating because I just think that that looks the best with a makeup look like this. It looks much more natural and fresh. So I'll tell you the ones that I have been liking especially. There are two drugstore ones that I've been really loving. One I've used for a super long time and they still sell it. And then the other one is a very new product and I love them both. And they are both in my purse because that's typically where some of these products live, is in my purse, because then I can just put them on quickly and easily and I don't need a mirror or anything like that. So the first one is and I'll pop up a picture so you can just kind of see what they look like. But the first one is the Neutrogena Color Sticks. These are really, really nice. They smell nice and fruity. They have like kind of shimmery shades, but then they also came out with like more just matte ones, but they're super hydrating, really comfortable. They have a nice light amount of pigment, and I just think that they're fabulous especially for the price. And then the other one is a newer one, which is the Physicians Formula Lip Butters. They are pretty new to the drugstore and they are super comfortable and creamy and delicious, and I really, really love them. I got a couple shades of them, and they also leave a little bit of a stain, which I think is really nice. You have to be careful with them because just like the Marc Jacobs one that I'm going to show you in a second, it can kind of like melt down a little bit because it's so creamy and buttery, but oh, they look so beautiful on the lips. Absolutely love them. Marc Jacobs one that I'm talking about is one of these hydrating lip gloss sticks. This one I have in the shade Mocha Chocolata, which I love. And it looks like it's gonna be a lip gloss, but it's actually a stick. And you click this up and you basically just like apply it like a lip balm, and it's super creamy and comfortable and looks so, so pretty on the lips. And then the other two that I've been loving recently is one is the Pat McGrath Wild Cherry Lip Fetish Sheer Color Balm. This shade is so pretty and it doesn't, apply as dark as this. It looks much more like a tinted balm, as you can see. And it definitely has a good amount of pigment, especially as you continue to go over it. But really, really love this. I prefer the next one I'm going to show you more, but I really do love this one. I don't have any other shades, but this shade I really, really like, and it just adds so much life to your face. It's nice sometimes when you're doing a light look like this to add a balm that has a little bit more of a punch to it because it adds a lot of life to your face. And then my current favorite that I'm going to be wearing right now is the Chanel Rouge Coco Flash in the shade 60 Beat. And they recently redid their Rouge Coco Shines, and they're now the Rouge Coco Flashes. And I love the packaging. Now you can kind of see it through the cap there. But some of them, not all of them, but some of them are really very pigmented for really a balm type of product. It's so creamy and so hydrating, and it looks so beautiful. So this is such a great shade for the spring and summer, and you'll see how pretty this looks. And it smells good. It has a lot of color. I mean, for, tinted balm, has a lot of color, but it's so shiny and pretty looking, and I love it. So that's probably my favorite, but in case you don't want to splurge on something like this or the Pat McGrath one, the drugstore ones that I told you about, really, really good. All right, everyone, so that is it for this video about my current go-to fresh, natural, light makeup. I really have been enjoying the way that I've been wearing my makeup for day to day lately. I think it looks so fresh and youthful and natural, and again, it's not something that's going to last all day on me, but I do just love the way that it looks. And I encourage you, even if you have combo skin, oily skin, give it a try. It's not something that's going to be like super long lasting, but I think that you'll be surprised at the results. Again, if you're somebody who uses cream products, please leave me your recommendations down below. I could use them. If you like this video, please make sure and give it a big thumbs up. That really does help out my channel so much. I post videos every single Monday and Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I would love for you to stick around, and I really hope to see you next time. Bye.